Hello and welcome to Stylist Chats with Creatives. Today on the podcast, I've got a very good friend of mine, Lydia Mai-Yin. She is a freelance stylist based in Liverpool. We actually first met when I was working in a different studio and you came to freelance. I think I actually have known you longer than my husband.
No way.
I think so.
Oh my goodness.
So we have known each other.
That's a big one to live up to, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, there is some regrets there. I do kind of wish I'd married you. I'm kidding.
Okay. Yeah.
Love Nath, really. Love Nathan, really.
Yeah, we love that.
So you've been freelancing for a long time. You've been styling for a long time.
Yeah.
How did you
Beginning of time.
How did you get into styling? Because I know you started quite young.
Yeah, so my first job was like painting kids' faces. And that was like my only job apart from babysitting, like before styling, which is hilarious. Yeah, I just sort of like walked into it. It was like a friend of a friend or family friend. And I was always that kid like carrying around like magazines and always interested in like dressing up and silly things like that. So it just sort of was like perfect, really. I just came in on that same company that I was with for a while and did a bit of traveling with them actually. So they sort of sent me about Europe and I ended up like keeping like a little base in Amsterdam and started in Tilburg and then moved up to Amsterdam. So that was quite nice to be there for a bit.
I remember them trying to send everybody to Amsterdam for a while when they got that account, and they'd just ring when I was studio managing and they'd be like, we need extra staff. And I'd be like, fuck, I've got like 1,500 products this week coming out my head. Like, I can't, like, what?
I know, I was quite lucky because I was just like really, really young. I was like 17 when they first sent me out there. So I was like perfect for them, really. I was just like, yeah, I'll go wherever you want me to. So that was cool. What did we do? A couple of studios in Germany. I actually opened a studio with a photographer in Switzerland. No, sorry. Yeah, Switzerland. I can't even remember.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we opened a studio and we were there for like a while. Like I want to say like a week or two. And we literally spent like one day in the studio and the rest of the time we were just like, we didn't really have much else to do apart from like source things and look for apartments and stuff, but then it just didn't end up like coming through. So they sent me back to Amsterdam.
That's insane. That company that we shall not name were bizarre.
And I think it's really expensive country to live in, like to send people over to like house them and all that in like, do you know what I mean? I just don't think it will have worked out.
No.
It just didn't make sense, you know, to outsource a company like that. Anyway, who knows? That's far beyond my depth of like figuring it out. But yeah. Yeah, then after Holland, the Netherlands, I like always wanted to live in London, so I knew that they had base there. So I was like, "Oh, just can you transfer me?" And then we sort of met then because I'd done a couple of different studios in the UK and with that company, and then sort of like circled around. And I did Peterborough for ages with you, didn't I?
Yeah. You were like a full-timer in the end.
Yeah, it was so good. I loved it with you guys.
Oh, it was such a nice, like, to think back on it. Yeah, the company wasn't great that we all worked for, but like we were all left to our own devices and like got our work done, and there was always fun vibes. There was always music playing and like it was always friendly and nice.
Everyone I've met like has been so nice who I know from there. I actually like reconnected with someone today at work who I haven't seen in 10 years from the same company. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Just like, you know, one of those people you're just like, we just hadn't spoken in years and we used to work together every day. And it's like just normal, but it's a bit crazy.
Well, I think when you're freelance, though, you dip in and out of lots of different studios, and it's easy to lose connection with people because you don't, maybe you're off traveling somewhere else and you don't see somebody for like 5 years, and before you know it, they're like 5 years, 10 years has passed.
Yeah, it just goes so quick.
Yeah, yeah.
So quick.
We actually reconnected when I showed up in a studio in Liverpool,
Oh
and
my, yeah, I remember
like,
seeing you down that hallway. I was like, oh my goodness, there she is.
yeah, you thought you'd escaped me, and then I showed up on your ground.
Oh, it was mad seeing you there because I was like, whoa. It's like, again, the same thing. I was like, it's been so long. And then you just show up there. I was like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah,
Sorry.
the universe sent me straight back to you, mate. That's what it was.
I was asking for you.
Oh, that was fun as well there, actually, because that studio had, like, at the time had so much going on, and there was like so many new connections to be had, and like lots of nice work, and it was just quite a nice, I found it quite a nice place to work.
Yeah, same. I really liked working there. It was just, again, like the same lovely people. Like, it's just like you're working with your friends. And I think that makes such a difference when you go into work and you just have that nice connection. Your day goes nice and smooth and you have good energy throughout the day, and you don't even feel tired at the end of the day, like when you have a good day like that, do you? So
No,
it's great.
exactly. It's nice. And like, I think just having those nice connections and like being able to turn up to a studio from like my point of view and see like you and then see other people who I'd not seen in ages. And I was like, oh my God, it feels like I'm back home. And it just felt like normal and friendly. I mean, I did struggle with the Liverpudlian accent for quite a while.
Oh, you know what I will say? When I moved to the Netherlands, like the models and things like that couldn't, like the Dutch, and they were like Belgian and French, couldn't understand my accent. Like they couldn't understand me. So they were like, can you just speak slower? Can you just speak slower? And I was like, okay. And then my accent slowly changed over time, just to like really, a little bit more clear and slower. I don't keep repeating myself, but yeah, basically, I don't have that like strong accent anymore. Not that I ever had a strong accent, but like it's not as fast for sure.
I've only ever heard it when you chat to your family. When I've been at yours and I've heard you chat to your mum, and I'm like, whoa, the Liverpudlian's coming out. I can feel it.
Yeah, you like, it depends who you're talking to, I guess. It just like you switch back.
Yeah. Yeah. I
But
get the
yeah.
same though at mine. Like when I go back down to see mum and like my grandma and stuff, and it all comes out, and you're like, oh God, where did this come from?
I didn't know she was still living there inside me. That voice.
Yeah, that's it. So, you freelance between like Liverpool, Manchester, and Leeds, don't you now?
Yes, I do now.
So you're now
No.
how? So you're mainly fashion, aren't you? I know as well that you're probably one of the only people, the only stylist I know who can do gladiator sandals.
I was talking about this today. It's so funny. I enjoy a challenge, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, challenge my skills. I have done it for that long that I'm like, things are just too easy. Like, I don't mind be easy, but I want to be challenged. I enjoy a gladiator. But there was one that we were shooting under HMIs, and it was summer, and we're also in a small room with like three other asset sets with like HMIs, and it was sweating in there. And I was like trying to do this, freestanding gladiator sandal, if you can imagine like what that would look like, wired up with C stands and tape and, fishing wire. I was under there for like half an hour, like boiling. I was like, please, can we just turn the lights off? He was like, you won't be able to see. I was like, at this point, just turn them off, please. It was too much. But yeah, that was funny.
I think people forget or maybe don't know how hot studios get in the summer, because often we're in some random industrial unit and
Yeah.
it's freezing in winter, like sweat your tits off in the summer hot, and like you just like, I can't regulate.
Yeah, and more often than not, well, you are all the time shooting like summer and winter, or like it's always going to be, you're going to be freezing if you're traveling on train or public transport. You're going to be wrapped up, and you go into your studio, and your model is like in a little bikini, and she's freezing. You know, we need to keep her warm and keep her energy up and keep her happy, and you know, you just have to be prepared to like strip down to like you need other layers, and you know, it's going to get hot.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always got like layers in my car. I've got thermals. I've got like gilets. I've got everything
Yeah,
just in case I get too cold. And then when the
ready
summer,
for any other.
that's it. And when summer hits, I've got like vest tops, shorts, everything just in case I need to like get changed out of my jeans or what have you. Like,
Oh, a good one as well is the hand warmers, the little like shaking hand warmers if you're shooting outside as well.
oh,
They
yes.
work so well. Just throw them in a bunch of like models' pockets. They're
Yeah.
happy at them.
Yeah. And in your own shoes as well,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Just stuff them in the shoes.
So I know, obviously, because you're a good friend of mine, but you've had twins in the last 14 months. They must be, yeah, they're like
Yeah,
just over a
they're
year
almost.
old.
Well, they are. They yeah, they are 14 months. My goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah, New Year's Day babies. Isn't that crazy?
just mad.
Absolutely mad. Yeah, the journey is wild. I will say that is the word that I've used the most this year. Every day is wild. Every stage is just wild. But people always ask me, like, you know, how do you manage with twins and how do you cope with two? And I just like I don't know any different because they're my first kids. And I also like, you know, you see pictures of people coming out of hospital with like one baby carrier, and I just feel like you're missing something. You're missing the other baby. It just looks so wrong to me, but it's obviously not. But yeah, it just feels really wrong to me.
So, I mean, I can't imagine it. You know, I've not got kids, but like, how did you find being pregnant and freelancing as well? Because that must have been tough.
It was tough for different reasons through different stages. So the beginning was hard because I was really sick because I have fraternal twins. You tend to get more morning sickness because you have like two blastocysts, and that creates like your body just basically works harder, and you just get more sick. Basically, I don't really know the science behind it, but you just get more sick. That's part of the reason why I knew I was having twins. But yeah, the difficult bit in that part is that you can't tell anyone. And I was at work, like snacking on the weirdest things. I had like little Tupperware of Cheerios and like crackers and anything that was dry that I knew that I could keep down because I couldn't keep down a full meal. So I was just grazing like dry beige food all day. Like that's what I lived on for like the first trimester. And then the second trimester, I had a really great time. I had loads of energy, and I was like still going out and being with everyone till late and working as much as I could. I felt like fine at work. There was no issues, but then the issues started. I think you remember you assisted me on a job actually, didn't you?
Yeah.
I just I couldn't do it all on my own. It was a really physical job, and I was just getting too big, like really quick. Like most people with like a normal pregnancy can go quite late. Even a friend of mine who's a photographer, she went really quite late into her pregnancy, and she could work for a while. And I had already stopped for, I think I was about, yeah, middle to end of my second trimester actually. Like I hadn't reached the third trimester yet, so yeah, it was quite bad.
Yeah, I remember you calling me and being like, I can't get down to do these flat lays because my bumps in the way.
Yeah, that was it. I was doing like some flat lays a different place, and the photographer was like, "Oh, do you want some help with that?" And I was like, "Oh, I shouldn't really be. That's not cool, you know." Like I was like, I need to be able to do it myself. Like I can only. Then I started to just take jobs that I knew that I could physically do, which makes sense. And then it was just a certain point. I was like, I'm too tired. I can't do it. I was just every day was just really tiring at
Yeah.
that point. But yeah, but like working as pregnant and freelance was fine. I didn't really find any other issues apart from commuting, actually. That was probably the worst bit. People don't give up their seats for
Really?
pregnant people. I was really shocked by that. Only a few people like let me on the train early. I remember waiting for a train at Victoria, in Manchester, and all the seats were taken like on the platform, and nobody would like. I was like visibly pregnant, you know. Nobody would like was gonna give their seat up. I was like, wow.
That's shocking.
Yeah, so I got quite angry about that actually, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the rage is real. I've got quite bad rage in pregnancy. But also the happy hormones are so good.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine it's been like one hell of a roller coaster.
Literally, like minute to minute, it's a roller coaster
Yeah.
from day dot.
So how are you finding it now that you've started to go back to work and you're like balancing having the twins? And I know Niall, your partner, is also freelance. So how are you guys balancing that out?
It's difficult, I'm not gonna lie. I did take a couple of jobs late last year, maybe November time, and they were fine, but it was just that you have to really plan like everything. And I just didn't feel ready to I haven't mentioned it yet, but I've been like recovering from a really kind of horrible traumatic birth experience. So I just wasn't ready at that point. Like it just wasn't there yet. But now I'm like better, and I'm doing better, and I'm ready to go back. So it's just staging it, and being prepared and having help. I'm quite fortunate that I do get help like 2 days a week, so I can just take those 2 days at the minute and then work view in nurseries and figuring it out that way. But I have no problem going to work now. I actually, it's like a break. It's like a day off going to work. It's really enjoyable. I love like seeing everyone, and yeah, it's really fun. Obviously I miss them dearly. Every minute I'm away from them, that never goes away. But things just get easier. They get so much easier as they get bigger. Like everyone says that, but yeah.
Yeah, aren't they walking and crawling and stuff? Have you got two walkers now?
I have one walker, one talker. They do things in their own time. That's something that I learned quite quick. Somebody who had a baby a couple months younger than me came to me at like a baby group, and she was like, "Oh, what are they doing at this age? Like, what, you know, sort of milestones are they reaching?" And I was like, "They're just really different. Like, all babies are different. You don't have to worry too much about these milestones, you know, only if it gets really late."
Yeah.
I think that's something as well that I don't tend to like worry about all the little things.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time. I just have to crack on, and everyone's fine anyway. So
Yeah. And I always think like if they're fed, watered, loved, clothed, and they're having
yeah,
a nice time.
yeah, they're always having fun. It's
Yeah.
never a dull moment in this house.
No, I think the last time I came and saw you and you were like, "Oh, can you help feed?" And like, so I was feeding one baby and you were feeding the other, and the baby I was feeding was looking at me like, there's something, you don't quite look like mum. I don't really trust you."
Oh no, they're really chill though. They go with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not like they just don't like hats. I will say that. I think if you're wearing a hat, they're gonna like they're gonna be upset. Don't know what it is.
Maybe it's like
Hat or hood.
not being able to see your eyes.
Yeah, sussy.
Mm, mm. You're like, you're suspicious. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't quite trust you. Take the hat off, please. Or maybe they're just really big on etiquette.
Yeah,
You're indoors, take your hat off.
yeah. That's really funny too.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, sorry, I forgot what you asked me. We got distracted. I got distracted.
So did I. I've forgotten as well. But
Sorry.
so you're. Oh, it's all right. I've got like period brain fog as well. Hormones are great, aren't they? Woo!
Yay! They're great. We love them.
Ah,
Make it more turbulent.
it's not been turbulent enough yet.
Yeah.
So that's good then that you're going back like a couple of days a week, and
Hmm.
that's quite most like you say, it's a break for you as well, and you get to see like everybody you've not seen for like maybe a year, if not a bit longer actually.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's nice to reconnect and just see what everyone else has been up to. Everyone's like always interested in what I'm doing with the babies, but I'm like, I want to know what's going on in your life. What's been normal? Like, what's been the normal day to day? I definitely feel like I went off the grid for a bit. I turned a corner recently, like myself mentally, so I just feel like I'm able to take in what else is going on around, other than just my day to day life. It gets real.
Yeah, well, I think it's almost like a survival thing, right? Like, especially
Yeah,
because
it is.
you had that really traumatic birth and
Yeah.
you had, then all of a sudden you've got that to deal with. Then you've got two brand new babies and two at once. Like,
Mm.
there's a lot there that's you've got to survive and make sure that everybody's still happy and so it does take like you've not got space for anybody else's bullshit.
Exactly. And it is quite good that your brain does that naturally, because it does filter out a lot of the stuff that maybe you wouldn't have thought about before, and it allows you to prioritize the babies essentially, and like what's important in the rest of your life. And it is a protective barrier. It's great. It's really like the body is amazing the way it does that.
Yeah, it massively like speaking to other parents and other mums, you can just see they've just like nope, laser focused on the fab,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden like 18 months later they're like, oh hey, we're back now, we've got through the
Yeah.
like hard survival bit, the kids are good, they're like getting there, like and
Yeah.
they say it takes a couple of years, doesn't it, for women's hormones to get back to normal after having kids.
Yeah, I think it's 7 years.
It's long.
That's what I've heard. I don't know if that might not be 100% true, but that's what I've heard. 7 years. So it's not, this whole idea that we need to rush back and go back to work, it's just really not natural. It takes a long time. Like, we don't need to be forced to come back to work, and we don't, it's all in your own time.
I agree with you. And I think like also if you're not fully ready and you go back, you're not concentrating on what you're doing because you're kind of thinking like I shouldn't really be here and like your head's somewhere else and like
Hmm.
you've got to have that balance, haven't you? If you can get through my waffle in there, you've got to have a
No, I
balance with
get
it.
it. Yeah, because it's the battle, isn't it? Like, between being there with your children and it's almost like re-navigating like who you are, because you're not the same person. I mean, you are the same person, but you're almost like reborn yourself when you have a baby, because your brain just rewires completely. It like shrinks, and in size and everything. It's crazy. So you just sort of you're relearning yourself with these changed priorities and changed sense of the world, because the world is a completely different place to you now that you've become a mother. So yeah, it is wild. Like, that's the only word I can think of. Wild.
I mean, from the stories you've told me, that is the only descriptive word I have for it too. It's like, it
Yeah,
just sounds wild, like a wild ride.
it is the best thing and the craziest thing. But yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it gets funnier. Like, we spent the weekend with my nephew and we took him like naughty toys, so like classic naughty toys as well. So fake.
I love that you love the naughty toys
Oh my
stories.
God.
So
We are here for the naughty toys. We are naughty auntie and
yeah.
uncle. We're like, you want to sit and play the Switch at the age of 2? Hop on, let's go. Like, let's send you a fake shit. Let's get you a whoopee cushion. Let's get you a duck whistle.
Oh,
Honestly, so good. Because he was like walking
all the
around.
little mischief toys are so good.
Oh,
Sorry.
they're so good.
So
And
good.
his little whoopee cushion, he was getting filled up by his dad or one of us guys. And then he was like squishing it against his chest, right up against like my dad or like my mum, and was going, I farted you. And like, oh my God, we were in fits.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
And then Nath goes to him like, should we go hide the fake poo in your mum and dad's bed? So they'd gone for a run. It's like Nath like went and got him, and they put the fake poo in my sister's bed. And then when my sister and her husband came back, he went, little and went, Mum, there's a poo in your bed, and like ran and showed her. And like, this poo just caused so much hilarity for the whole weekend. He just loved it. Was just like walking around with it in his palm of his hand and like, oh, just the best thing. And like, it's so much fun. But also, when we were there, obviously I was one of 6 adults, and we took Coco as well. And me and Nath came home and we were like, why are we so tired? And we realised it was because like we were looking for the dog and the little one.
Yeah.
And you're like constantly looking, just checking where they are, like what they're doing. Have they fallen over? Why are they standing on a chair? Why are they doing? And you're like, just constantly on the go. So I can't imagine how you must feel like you need eyes in your head.
Yeah, you get used to it, but it does take all your energy. Like at a certain point when you can like switch off in the evening, like you just feel a bit zapped. Like you just need to, I think the best thing for me has been yoga
Yeah.
and like meditation and getting back into my body essentially, because I've definitely felt like I've just been occupying my body for so long and using it as like a machine. I think I'm just learning to like live in sync with my body and like build energy that way and build space and just regather your energy. It's so like precious because you utilize your energy and you're so like every minute of your day is planned almost. So you have to sort of find your little bit of space.
Yeah. Have you found that? I know you've spoken to me about the meditation and stuff. Have you found that really helpful with you regards to your healing as well?
Yeah, I've basically been using that. So I had counseling for a year, like I had a therapist for a year. And to be honest, it was amazing, and I definitely recommend if you've been through any trauma to talk about it with someone impartial, and get everything written down, because it's helped me so much, and it's allowed me to now be able to just take it on my own and work through it myself, because I think as much as you talk about it, you need to tell yourself and work inwards out. Because I didn't want to hold on to it to the point where I was just, it was living in me. I needed to like just become. I don't know what I'm just at the very beginning of this healing journey, but it's helped me so much just to recognize that I've been in pain and face it really, and just.
Yeah. I think facing it sometimes is one of the hardest things I think you can do is to face any pain that you have or trauma, but actually facing it. I always use the analogy of when I'm going through something or when depression hits me or what have you, and like my depression monster will be really big, and for me it's facing it and shrinking it back down again so it's manageable, so that then you can move on and hopefully shrink it till it's gone. And
Yeah.
I think it's such an important thing to go, like you say, go and talk to someone impartial about it and get it out, because otherwise you can sit on it and it just keeps building and building and building, and then you resent it, and actually like
Yeah.
you've got to face it at some point.
Yeah, and it causes pain in your body,
Mm-hmm.
like holding on to trauma like that. You know, it's if it doesn't come out verbally, or you don't make the conscious effort to do it, to do something with it, you'll be in pain. You'll be in like physical pain.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely noticed, like a lot of that pain has been released, and I feel a lot lighter. You know, that I can like I've been able to get space to do more things and get creative and get into my space. Keep saying that, but yeah, get into my space. I'm there.
Yeah. And I think that it's so important. And I think as well as a creative, you've got to have that space to kind of showcase who you are and just let that part of you like flourish too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it goes hand in hand with like learning about myself again. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like after, I know I keep going back to, but after this like horrible experience, you know, I don't want to get too like deep and talk about it, but you know, I thought I was like not gonna live.
Yeah, yeah.
Going through a real experience paired with pain, you know, it sort of just brings everything like back to the basics, and you just have to, you know,
Yeah.
sort it out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And I think I am so sorry that you had such a shit experience, and I know the ins and outs of it, and it was fucking awful. And I'm so sorry that you had so many failings there. And I think it's unfortunately something that I hear as a fellow woman. I hear an awful lot of it, and it's just not fair. And I think I hear a lot of it from the endo community as well, that they're not treated fairly. And it's just we're in fucking 2024, like sort your fucking shit out, doctors, come on. And I think, you know, it's just not fair that then what should be one of the most joyous moments of your life is riddled with such pain and trauma. And don't get me wrong, like pushing a baby out is going to hurt. I'm fully aware of that, but like there's certain things that, you know, can be managed. And I think I'm just so sorry that you went through it all, because it's just hideous and it just adds to the stress.
Yeah, it's not good. And I think like people really need to be empowered with knowledge, and knowledge of your body, and knowledge of what could potentially happen. Because I had no idea that could happen. I'm just gonna say it, but basically I had like a really long labor. I think it was 74 hours or something, and I couldn't progress, so I had a C-section. But I had an epidural, so I went in there with the epidural and they topped it up, but it just, we thought it had worked. I thought it had worked, but once they'd cut me open, it was very apparent that it was not working anymore. So that whole C-section had to happen without any sort of pain relief, because it was already started. They couldn't go back and change anything. So I just had to ride it out, basically. And then the whole care afterwards in hospital was just like not great, I'll just say. But I forgot where I was going with that, but it's just
well, it's just a fucking hideous experience. And I think like there's no way on this earth that if a man was in that situation and said, my epidural's not working, that they wouldn't have figured out a fucking way to top that up.
Yeah.
It's just infuriating, I think.
It's infuriating. And what's worse is that, like, if that's happened to me and it wasn't a necessarily big deal enough for loads of people to come at my rush, do you know what I mean? I was just sort of like left to handle it, basically. it's going to happen to someone else, and it has happened to someone else
Yeah.
out there. You know, it does happen. So the thing that I like, it bothers me so much is that why didn't I know that that was a possibility?
Yeah.
Like, you sort of feel like you're going to go through pain in childbirth, and you think of that as like the natural pushing, you know, the general pain that people think about when you think about having a baby. But when you think about a C-section, it's sort of the aftercare, really, the recovery that's more painful that you think about, rather than the actual surgery. You don't ever think that you're going to be cut open and feel it. It's just like, to be blunt, but yeah.
Yeah, that's like something out of the fucking medieval times. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't feel right
No.
at all. So,
No.
yeah, PTSD was real.
Yeah. I can only imagine like a slither of how you have felt over the past year.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But you know what? Out through that very dark tunnel, I've come out the other side, and it's been hard work, but you know, we can get there. People get there. We can make it happen, and it's a great feeling to sort of know that you've been capable of overcoming something so massive.
Yeah, and I think I, for one, am so, so in awe and proud of you, of how you've handled it all.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I would have lost my fucking shit. And I think like you just kept it together, and like I think you should feel so proud of yourself.
Oh,
And
thank you.
you know, it's a really horrible thing that happened to you, and I'm so sorry it happened to you. And I think like it's so good that you're willing to chat about it on a platform so that other people are aware as well, because I think
Yeah, if anyone like listening like has experienced it, you know, just drop me a message. I'm like always open to talk about it, and I would have loved to have spoken to someone about it earlier who has been through the same thing or anything similar, you know. That support is really important.
yeah, I think because we've spoken a little bit, and like we've spoken a lot about it, but like I've not I've not been through childbirth, I've not been through a C-section. The closest thing I have is my laparoscopy, but
Yeah.
then it's still not the same. So it's really hard to like fully understand,
Mm.
and it's such a difficult thing
It's
for you to
difficult
go
because
through as well.
it's confusing for me as well still, you know? Like, I'll never get over that confusion to do with it. Like, you'll never sort of find peace with that. And I've found peace with not having peace with it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So no one's ever going to really understand it unless you've been through it
Mm-hmm.
yourself. So
Yeah,
it's just realizing that, you know, it's sad as it is, like,
yeah.
you'll be fine at the end of it, really.
Yeah, and I think like we were saying earlier, you can't hold on to stuff that's kind of almost toxic, because it will just come out in your body and you'll be ill, or you know, and it's just awful that, you know, we're not, like I said earlier, we're not in medieval times. Like, oh,
I know.
so frustrating.
I know. We need to do better. There needs to be better. These conversations need to be had, which is why I'm starting a podcast with my two
Yay!
friends. Yeah, so let's talk about that.
Yes, please. It was literally next on my hit list to chat to you about, because
Yeah.
I think it's important, like, to talk about this kind of stuff, and to talk about parenting and how you fit it in with work and freelancing, running your own business and juggling lots of things. And I think that's so important. So please tell me more about your
Yeah.
podcast you're going to be running.
Well, I think anything's possible if you're like passionate about it. And you know, me and well, basically, it's three of us, three great friends. We all connected through work. We all met through work. I think I met one of the girls through a mutual friend, and we just all ended up like in the same boat, and having babies within a year of each other, and we're all in the same industry, and we all have similar interests and connect already. So that basis was just so important, because we have like a sort of safe hub of connection, and we already, and then all going through the same thing at the same time, just like embedded that a bit deeper.
Yeah.
So obviously I have my boys who were born on New Year's Day, and Jen has Aurelia. She was born the day after, like only a couple of hours after the twins, but ended up on the 2nd of Jan,
Oh,
which is crazy.
really?
Yeah. So, and then Anastasia has Winnie, who was born like the December after, so like 11 months after. So basically, me and Jen we'd speak with Anastasia like in a group all the time about like what we were going through that day, what we were going through that week, and it just seemed to like line up almost exactly with what was going on because of the age. No, they're both the same. They're going through the same things like the same week.
Yeah.
So we basically spoke about everything, and Anastasia was there, like, finding out she's pregnant and listening to all of this stuff, and she asking all the questions that like just probed loads of really deep answers, basically, like, to put it really plainly. We just have been able to recap on everything really fresh, and between the three of us, we've just been able to like revisit issues naturally. And we basically realized that we just want to help other people, like I was just saying, like, share trauma, and share our experiences and things that we basically like realize that important things, like the important things that we really need to know, like, don't really get discussed or even brought to our attention until we're already like in the thick of it, and
Yeah.
you just have to figure it out in that moment. And I think, like, a lot of these topics like just made us all really like angry. Do you know what I mean? And like we just ended up like having like deep dives into like why and how can we figure it out together, and how can we make this work, or even like recovering from trauma, just like how do you navigate day-to-day life, and you just sort of put things on the back burner essentially.
Yeah, I suppose it goes back to when we were talking about almost being like survival mode when you're first like got your babies, and you're also healing no matter which way you've given birth. Your body's still recovering from a really quite traumatic thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you just all like, we're all doing it for the first time. We're all like navigating for the first time. With these are all our first children, so we're just figuring it out. And we realize that like a lot of issues can be like laughed off. If I didn't have that support, I might like laugh off a certain issue and deal with it in the moment, and then not want to revisit it because it doesn't really get asked about.
Yeah.
Which is like, is a good coping mechanism, but I think it can be like quite detrimental in the long run, because we need that connection. We need to talk about these issues and figure it out. I think, but these conversations need to happen.
Yeah, I think it's just bringing awareness to stuff and bringing the sense of community back as well, I think. And
Yeah, that's it.
that sense of like needing a village to help bring up children as well, and having that wide range of people that come and help you out and like can say like, oh no, I remember that. And like for me, like my mum, she's 61. So if I was to ask her like even a question about her periods, she's like, I can't remember what my
Yeah,
periods were like in my 30s. So like, and I think the like childbirth and everything, the way it's dealt with, it changes so much in 2 years, let alone like 30. So like asking,
It's like a live diary
yeah,
we're basically doing.
yeah, it's good. It's good.
Really good. But we had this question that we were, and it was just so like, what the hell? Like, what do we wish we had known before? Like, what do you wish you've known before? And that's like massive for us, because it's like we want you. I feel like our generation is so much like planning involved. You know, it's like, what's your 6 month plan? What's your 5 year plan? What's your backup plan?
Yeah.
What's your side hustle? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always something that our generation like wants to orchestrate. But when it comes to something that's like so natural, I've found, I don't know, maybe some people have found other things useful, but I just didn't really find many things useful or many avenues to really take in that information and let it sink in. I think like that a general conversation is just gonna be helpful because we don't really have that community on your doorstep anymore.
No,
That used to be.
no. I think that's the one thing that's changed, like in society, actually. Like a lot of our
Yeah,
friends,
definitely.
they live away from their parents, away from their in-laws, and it's difficult. They might have
Yeah.
like lots of friends around them, but it's still different to having your mum or aunties or whatever around.
That's it. It's your close people. Like, I can connect with loads of people and new friends, but you want your friends who know you the best to connect with.
It must be quite difficult if you've not got that community there. It must make you feel quite lonely when you're a new mum and you've not got that support.
Yeah.
Is that how you felt? I mean, I know your mum has helped you a lot as well.
Definitely. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do it without my mum and Niall. I definitely had those two really strong sources of, solid connection. They just understood and sort of moved around me and made it happen, really made everything possible, which has been so great. But yeah, it was definitely like back to like relearning like how to do the basic things in life, like even like leaving the house. I know it sounds so crazy if you've not been through it before, but just like leaving the house or going for a walk or anything is just like a military operation.
I can imagine with two as well. I can't. I mean,
Like,
I don't know how
yeah.
much stuff you need.
Well, like even at the beginning, like just doing it, just getting out and doing it is so hard. Like you don't even realize like your brain is so tired and like you need to get out and you need to see sun and you need to do all these things on your list. And I can't imagine even if you've got a toddler running around or a child running around who needs your attention. I can't imagine people who have twins or triplets or more, with other children about as well. I can't imagine that. It's
It'd
amazing.
just be chaos, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, in the very beginning, you're learning the baby, you're relearning yourself, you're tired, you're vulnerable. It's all of these like major changes and then navigating this world again, like I was saying about before, like navigating where you are in this new world. You're reborn, you know,
Yeah.
it's confusing because it's the same road you lived on, the same people, everything's the same, but you feel completely different. You feel like a different person. You've got to look after this new baby. You have no idea who this new baby is. You were just getting like you were just pregnant, living that world. It's like each
Yeah.
stage you changes into a new world, and it prepares you for, I guess, life coming forward, because they change all the time. You have to keep you on your
Yeah.
toes, so you just have to like run with it, throw it to the wind, run with it. That's what it is.
I love that analogy. Just throw it to the wind. Just
Yeah.
take it in
Leave
your
your
stride.
plans. I remember I was actually talking about it today. I used to say, this is how funny it is. The world has just laughed at me. But I used to say I would love to have a 5 year gap between having children, just so you can really, really focus on that one child for 5 years. Yeah, the world just laughed at me and was like, try two at
Yeah.
once. Nothing's ever going to go your way if you plan it too much. Just let it go.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy life as it comes.
Yeah. Massively. I remember when you told me that you were pregnant and I'd come over to Liverpool to get my leg tattooed and we met
Oh
each
gosh,
other
I
for dinner.
forgot.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you look dead cute. And you were like, oh, the skirt's a bit tight. And then we sat down for dinner and we were chatting about something. And you were like, oh, I've got this picture's a bit pixelated. And you just showed me. And I was like, oh, blubbering mess.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, it's not one. And I was like, oh. Like,
Oh my gosh, I forget. That was like my favorite thing ever, just like winding people up. That's the best thing about the beginning when you're having twins, winding people up. I got my dad, I got like everyone with it, to be honest, but like showing the scan and like watching people just get excited and then like look at it again and try and figure, you know what I mean? Like the realizing that it's two eggs, two little fetuses. Yeah.
oh man. Honestly, I'll never forget that. I think as well, I was like, oh, I've not seen you for ages, and we were gassing away, and then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what a bomb.
I couldn't hold it in any longer. I needed to tell you ASAP. So fun.
Oh, it was so good. Oh, it was so good.
Mm.
And it all just etched in my memory because it was just like so funny. And then I was like so flabbergasted, like, holy shit. I was like, how is she going to fit twins in there? Like,
Yeah.
just so petite. I was like,
Oh god.
where are they going to be?
Yeah. I looked like a sausage at Christmas. I'm telling you, like the belly just goes out, and I was afraid of that because I'd googled people pregnant with like twins, and
Yeah.
at the end, and they do look like sausages. Like your belly just goes out. There's nowhere else for it to go. But yeah, I got like I mean, what's funny actually is my nose went really, really wide.
Did it?
Yeah, my nose changed, my whole face changed. It went like really puffy, even more than it is. My nose went really wide, and my feet. I think most people get the feet thing, but my feet were just like not not feet anymore.
Just stubs.
Yeah, just like little squishy things. It was mad. Yeah,
Oh,
funny.
it, it's so mad what your body can do and how like wonderful it is to produce twins and like all the
Mm.
funny things after that, like,
Yeah, the kicking is
you know,
as well, actually.
oh yeah, that freaked. So, story long time ago, but when I was 21, my friend was pregnant and she was 21, and I remember we walked around Boots, and Litland just
Mm.
pushed his like foot out, and this was the first pregnant person that I'd seen that wasn't like my mum's friend or whatever,
Mm.
and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is like something out of Alien, and it freaked
So
me out
funny.
so bad.
Yeah.
And she was like, this is amazing, it's so cool, and I was like, this is so scary.
Yeah.
Yet like when my sister was pregnant and you could see them like hands and feet and stuff, I was like, this is so cool. But I was like literally like 12, 13 years
Mm.
older. But like initially I was like, this is so weird.
Yeah. So with the twins, we didn't really see like a foot or a hand. Like I could feel it, and I sort of, if you press down, you could sort of feel what it was. But because they were so cramped in there, like you would just get like a leg moving past or like an elbow. It wasn't like a hand pushing or a foot pushing.
Yeah.
It was really weird. I actually
I think,
passed my driving test when I was pregnant, and on the actual test that I passed, I was like laughing because I was experiencing them kicking like for that first week. and it was making me laugh because it was just so bizarre. And I was like in a really serious like moment driving doing my driving test, and I was like, why is this happening right now? It's just, yeah, it was fun, really funny. But luckily I passed.
See, another thing that you accomplished
Yeah.
whilst pregnant
Oh god.
is you
Yeah.
passed your driving test.
Even more so though, like I was more like, I need to pass. I can't. I was like, how can I have twins and not drive in my head? Like, I know people do it, but I was like, I need to just make it work.
Yeah. I think there's just like, I struggled to pass my test
Mm.
at 17, 18 with nothing other than my own bloody ego. Like,
That's typical 17-year-old though, right?
yeah. But then like, you're there like, oh, well, I'll just do it while I'm pregnant with twins. It's fine. Cool. Passed it, nailed it. Cool.
I honestly just didn't want all those lessons that I'd done to go to waste.
Mm,
I was like,
yeah.
I've started it now. I'm not going to stop again. Because I did stop with that first. I had a really weird first driving instructor. But I had to cancel and stop and then start again. That was just a big, again,
Yeah.
another waste of my time. But
It's like it. I don't even remember my instructor that well, actually. But
Mm.
yeah, it's a weird profession, though, isn't it?
Mm.
You're in a car with somebody. Yeah, they've got
Yeah.
control to a certain extent, but then you're like on
They're
your
telling you where
own.
to go.
Yeah,
The scary thing. Like they're telling you what to drive, where to drive. Like luckily I had a
yeah,
really lovely second instructor. He was really nice. But yeah,
yeah. It's scary.
dodgy.
It's scary. Oh, it's scary now that I can drive and I have been for nearly 20 years. That's scary too. It's horrendous.
Yeah. That you're allowed on the road.
Yeah, I mean, like, Jesus, I should not be allowed on the road, especially not when I've got raging PMT. Just, it's not a mix that should happen.
You know what?
Um,
Music helps.
Carry on.
That was what I was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Music does help, and a good podcast that will
Yeah.
always help. Something funny or a good audio book. Um, so another thing I was going to ask you about is your
Mm.
little Instagram account that you're starting, your Twin World
Oh,
Instagram account.
yeah. You know what?
I'm finding that so cute.
Oh, thanks. It's a little faceless for the babies account, but I'm sort of hybriding. Is that the right word? I'm doing like a bit of a hybrid of the twins' little world, their little life, what I'm doing with them, um, sort of like food, and it's really like just a very chill thing. And a little bit of my work as well. So, like, what I'm doing day to day, and sort of just being open with people and how it's going, how it's getting on. Everyone seems to be interested, so I'm like, well, why not? Come on,
Yeah,
yeah,
lean into it.
lean into it, enjoy.
Yeah, I'm really liking it. I'm liking these like day in the life kind of like little
Mm.
reels and like
Yeah.
seeing like what you're feeding them. And like for me it like really interests me because of the like how you have to cut the food for the kids.
Mm.
So like that's not something I've ever really come across until my sister had a kid or friends have had kids.
Yeah, true.
So for me I'm like, of course they can't eat a whole bloody grape, but until you see somebody like having to cut them up or like whatever,
Oh, I
your
actually like
logic isn't there.
choked on a full grape when I was a kid, as a baby.
Did you?
Yeah, in the trolley in the supermarket. I got given a full grape, but I just loved grapes. I must have just been eating them and like choked on one. I was fine. I'm
Oh
fine.
my
It
God.
wasn't for very long, but yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. So it's a real thing. You really don't want.
Yeah.
You really do need to cut everything up. But yeah, I'm quite like vigilant with that, and I'm really like passionate about like feeding them the right things to create that healthy gut microbiome. But you know, it's mixing that in with your day to day to make things easier for you. Like I am not a chef, you know, I am not great in the kitchen. Like, I'm not bad. I can make like a lot of nice things. You know, I don't hate, like, I enjoy my cooking, but I just really don't enjoy being in the kitchen. I don't enjoy cooking. Like my partner Niall, he's really great, so he loves to do it as well. But I'm like the baby chef. I do all the research and like figure out the plans, meal plans, and do all of that. But I enjoy that part of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that makes me
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. And I think like they eat so many varied things, and when they're trying stuff, like my nephew tried a bit of lemon the other
Oh
week.
my goodness, so
Hilarious.
funny.
Hilarious. They're just so funny. But like it's funny what they'll eat, what they decide they're not going to eat. It
Mhm.
changes like throughout their life. Different
Yeah,
weeks they'll eat something different. And yeah, it's nice. It's
yeah.
good
One
to
minute
see
they
like,
like one thing, and the next minute they don't. Sorry.
yeah, that's it. And then like you'll be like, well, you liked beetroot like 2 weeks ago. Why didn't you like that now? And they're like, "Bleh." And like,
What are you going to eat?
yeah, like flinging it at the walls.
Oh god, it's the most annoying when you've spent, like, you know, you've researched it, you've figured it out, you've made it, you've been to the shop, you've got all the stuff, and like, you know, like I said, like getting out of the house and doing all those things can be a pain when you've already got something going on. Like, for example, I had they were quite ill after their 1 year jabs, and I was like, you know, I need to get them ginger in their body, and I need to be feeding them all these things. And I found this, well, my friend made this recipe, and I, you know, she obviously, did this recipe for Aurelia, and I was like, okay, we're same page, let's do the same thing. I'm making that. And they loved it, but if they didn't like it, like, I have things that, I'm going all around the world, but basically you'll put loads of effort into making a meal and they just won't eat it. Like, that's where
Yeah.
I'm getting at. Like, they'll go on the floor and they'll just revert back to the same things that they like to eat. But that meal that I made when they were unwell, they loved that. They ate the whole thing. But, you know, next week they might not like it. So you have to always have backups, which is annoying.
Well, I'm always here for a backup snack.
Yeah.
Because
We
I think
stylists snack a lot.
yeah, we
We
do.
snack a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Nate always goes to me, he's like, why is your bum bag full of snacks? We're going out for like 2 hours. And I'm like, because I might need a snack. And he's like, you know, there's shops where we're going. And I'm like, doesn't
you
matter.
need it handy right
I'm,
there and then.
yeah, yeah, with you,
Yeah.
with you. And like, I open my kit bag and I've got sweets, nuts,
Yeah.
like all sorts in there.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just
We're on the
needed.
go all the time.
Yeah, yeah. We're on our feet. Like, sometimes I can do like 6 miles just at work.
In one room.
And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's great though. I wouldn't change it for anything, any other job.
It's dead fun.
Mm.
It's like one of those jobs where like, yeah, there is stress in it, but
It's
we're
not
not
that
doing like,
deep as well.
no,
There's stress, but it's
we're
really not that deep. You figure it
no,
out.
yeah, like we're not doing brain surgery. We're making shoes
Exactly.
look nice, or
Yeah.
like finding a nice plate for something, you know?
Yeah,
It's just a nice, gentle job, really,
it is.
until someone goes, we need to earn money off that. And you're like, oh,
Well,
you will earn money off
money,
it. Chill
money.
out. Yeah. Meh. So I've got one last question for you.
Okay.
And think on it answer it however you want. But what inspires you?
Okay. What inspires me? Okay, first, like, work-wise, magazines for sure, like anything in print. And like, I'm just a really, really visual person, and I like shape, and I like how, I don't know, how to explain it, but like shape and fabric and how things come together. I don't know how to
Oh,
explain
like
it. It's like an
composition.
initiative thing, yeah. Composition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a general sense, definitely people who have passion and confidence inspire me. And like, just seeing someone doing something that they love doing, when someone shines and someone glows, that passion and that love for something, even if it's so simple, that's like the most inspiring thing. I think that's what we should all aspire to do. Like, just be in something that you love to do. Yeah, that's the most inspiring to me.
I like those answers
Yeah,
because I think it's something so nice to see people when they're like you say, at their happiest, and they've just got like an aurora glow of
exactly.
them.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can just see that they're like literally like, was it
Creative, they're being, they're doing, and like dancing even, someone who's really enjoying that song, or someone who's really crafting something. You know what I mean? We meet these creative people all the time, and I just like to see people in their element, like doing something cool.
yeah, I'm with you. And I think there's some, I might have been Roald Dahl, but there was like a saying, again, period brain fog, where I'm sure I'm seeing like a drawing in my mind's eye where it's of like the sun shines out of somebody. And it might have been Roald Dahl, it might have been somebody else. But like, it's almost like that energy, isn't it? Of like seeing someone really love something and they just project a nice energy out from
Yeah,
themselves.
we definitely project light.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was doing a sound bath like last month, and the woman who does it, I adore her, and she basically was doing like a little bit of a head massage on everyone down our like row, and I obviously had my eyes closed the entire time, and I could see this white light, and it getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and then it was just beaming like right over my head, and I was like, that's her, like I know who it is. And I asked after, and I was like, I knew it was her, because we had two people doing it, and you just sort of feel that energy and that light, and it's just so true.
That's so cool that you could sense that as well. That's so cool.
Yeah, I've definitely been like able to sense more things and see more things in meditation now than I have before. It's really cool.
It's so cool when you start like using your brain in that way and like opening up the layers that are in it and exploring it a little bit more.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
it's so cool.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you for having
I
me.
I've really enjoyed our chat, and thank
Oh,
you
thank
so much
you.
for sharing all your stories. And
Oh, thank you for having me.
it's just been lush,
Yeah.
and thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Before I go, I do want to say that the podcast that we're releasing, it's going to be coming out in May, some point in May, and it's called Let Me Mother. So if you are pregnant or you're already a parent, it's not just including mothers, it's including every parent. So yeah, just look out for it,
Oh,
I guess. Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. I think it's going to be so good.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to work, get helping everyone and sharing our stories and shedding light onto like really horrible things as well that we're mad about and we want to change it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please rate, follow, and share, as it really helps this little podcast out. And if you have found value in the podcast and you have the means to, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. This will help keep the podcast going. Join me next week for another fantastic guest. Bye!